Welcome to Coach to Scale, how modern leaders build coaching cultures. I'm your host, Matt Bonelli. Join me as we build a community of like-minded professionals who share the belief that effective coaching improves the performance of every team member. Our mission is to help leaders become better coaches. The Coach to Scale podcast is sponsored by Coachum, the world's first AI coaching execution platform that leverages evidence-based coaching to increase quota attainment. And with that, let's get started. All right, I'm excited to have this conversation with today's guest. As you'll see, he's uber committed to coaching and developing his people and has a phenomenal track record of doing just that. He spent his entire career in B2B technology sales. He's the VP of sales currently at RocketRez. Sean Harvey, welcome to the show.
Hey, Matt. Thanks for having me.
You got it, man. So listen, this podcast is named Coach to Scale, and our mission here is to build a community of like-minded professionals who share the belief that coaching and developing of people is super important. It helps the individual, it helps the team, it helps the company grow, scale, and be successful. Now with that, Sean, let me toss the first question over to you. When you think about the importance of coaching, right, that's what we're talking about, coaching. When you think about the importance of coaching and the impact it can have on a company's success, is that flow more bottom up or top down?
Yeah, it's a great question. I assume that people can think about it differently. I've always thought about it as a top-down approach, right? I think that people go as their leaders go, right? People take on the characteristics or the style of their leaders. And for me, it's always worked best if it was something that we built in as part of our culture. It's who we are as a company. It's who we are as an executive team. It's what we believe in. And then bring that down, cascade that messaging down, cascade that approach down, through middle management down to the frontline managers and the individual contributors.
Where do people sometimes maybe get that wrong, in your opinion? You mentioned it could go different ways, but where do organizations or leaders sometimes misread that?
Yeah, I think listen, for me, when it's bought into at the top level, it typically has a better chance of staying, the staying power of it when times get tough, right? Like other things are always going to come up. We always got end of quarter, end of month, end of year. We got deals that are important. We have board meetings. We have all these things. And I just find that if it's built in and part of the culture, it has a better chance of being focused on at all times, consistently. Like to me, consistency is key. If it's something that's fleeting, if it's something that one day you believe in it and you're going to let people have the time to do it. Let's say it's bottoms up. You're going to let people have the time to do it, have the time to focus on it. But then when times get tough, you stop allowing for that, or you stop making it a priority. Then it goes away, right? At that point, it's just not, you've proven, you've shown your cards that it's not the most important thing in the world. And it's not something that you're going to prioritize, through thick and thin. So for me, I like to try to build it in as part of the culture, but it takes a commitment. It's not easy.
Right. And it can't be just the flavor of the month or, hey, it's really important this month and something else is really important next month, because then it's the reps are like, hey, this too shall pass, right? It's not really important. Smile and wave. You've talked in the past about trust, right? When you talk about building any type of culture, especially a coaching culture, I think, we could agree trust is important. Where does it fit in your mind? What's the relationship between trust and coaching?
Yeah, that's a deep one. I could go on for a while on this one. It's a passion of mine, but I think ultimately, you get in these positions and people innately assume that you have more knowledge or you've been there, you've done that, but there still needs to be a trust, right? Like I want to make sure that people trust, not necessarily in what I'm saying, because there's a million ways, like, there's a million ways you could approach a deal, position, negotiate. Like there's not just one way. Think about all the methodologies that are out there, right? There's a bunch of things that work. I don't need them to trust what I'm saying is gold or is the only way to do something. There's a million methodologies out there from a sales perspective. They're all good. Like they all have their own reasons and philosophies, and they're good. So I'm not asking people to trust that, my way is the only way or is the right way. What I mean by that, what I'm asking them to do is trust that I have their best interest in mind, right? And that I'm not asking them to do something that I wouldn't do, or that I'm not comfortable doing, or that is going to be, challenging for them just to challenge them, right? I want them to trust that we're here to help them grow professionally. We're here to help them get better, not just for this company, not just for this deal, but for things in the future, for future roles, future deals, future situations. And I find that if I can build trust with the team, with my management team, with the frontline managers and the individual contributors, that they're more willing to engage, right? Like we role play. Role playing is awkward, right? I want them to trust that this is a psychologically safe environment, right? You can mess up. Like let's have fun with it. Let's mess up. Let's be awkward. I'll do it. I'll mess up. I'm not perfect. But trust that it's a safe environment to where that's okay, right? And that's encouraged, and no one's going to get looked down upon or made fun of for giving their effort and screwing up, right? That's the type of trust that I want to build. I don't need them to trust that, my way is perfect. I want them to trust that it's an environment that we can grow together and we can help each other.
You can grow together, you can fail in order to do that, especially with role play, right? You have to be vulnerable. And I've heard you say that somewhere else. You talked about something that I wrote down as vulnerability-based trust. Does that tie into what we're talking about here?
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly, this goes back to a couple companies ago. I had the opportunity of working with a private equity firm and going through a program, the guy named Maurice Ducamp, great HR, human capital guy. And one of the things we spent a lot of time on together was this concept of vulnerability-based trust, how to build it, how to make it flourish in a team. And I've carried that on with me and been able to try to put that in play in a couple companies now. And what I really found is that it helps me build the foundation to coach, to train, to develop, right? And that wasn't my original intent. Like my thought wasn't, hey, I'm going to go build this trust so that I can better coach people, right? The thought was, I want to hire great people. I want to retain great talent. I want to build great teams. But what I realized was this is pretty fundamental in order to me and my organization to have a group of people who are willing to embrace this, who are willing to get uncomfortable, willing to try. When we're doing trainings, they're willing to raise their hand and be the first one to work on their pitch or role play and things like that, because they feel safe around their peers. They feel safe around their management team. They feel safe around me, right? They know it's not an environment where if they go out and screw up or fail, either in a coaching situation or in a live, like in a deal, that's not going to be held against them, right? Like trying, giving effort, failing, that's okay. That's part of who we are, right? Like I'm a baseball guy. So, you fail 7 out of 10 times when you're at the plate and you go to the Hall of Fame.
Hall of Famer. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I see sales as the same way. Like no one has 100% close rate over the course of their career. And if they tell you that, they're lying, so you're going to fail a lot. You're going to hear no a lot. And I want to make sure that's part of who we are as an organization, where we're okay with that. And we're comfortable with it. And no one's going to get looked down upon, or, that's not going to be frowned upon. It has to be part of it. We have to embrace it.
I love the baseball analogy, the 7 out of 10 failing and you go to the Hall of Fame, 8 out of 10 fail, you're still making millions of dollars. It's not a bad gig if you can hit a baseball. Hardest thing in the world, they say. But look, everything we're talking about here, let's face it, it's not easy. It's the long game. So building a coaching culture, getting people to feel comfortable stepping up and failing, that doesn't happen overnight. Why is it worth it? Why is the juice worth the squeeze?
Yeah, this is a lesson that was certainly learned, and not learned the easy way. We've all been in that situation, I think, where you're getting to the end of the quarter and you're scrambling, right? And then the next thing you do is go pull next month's or next quarter pipeline forward and see what you can close, and you just aggressively discount it to get it in. Like we've all been there. We have goals, we have things we need to hit, and ultimately, to me, it's always made it harder, right? Like then you wake up the next morning, guess what? Scoreboard's reset. We got to start over. And oh, by the way, you just demolished your pipeline, to be successful yesterday. And so those learnings have given me the perspective of playing more of the long game, right? And I didn't love that as a rep. And then so when I got to management role, it was, okay, let's focus on today and let's be as successful and as great as we can be today. But let's also make sure that we're setting ourselves up for next month, next quarter, next year. And part of the way to do that is, in my eyes, is to coach, is to train. Like I want to teach people how to prospect, how to message, how to focus on the deals. And for me, the toughest part is having restraint, because I have goals I need to hit. I have a board I have to go, report to. And it's not that I want to miss the number. I don't want to miss the number, but I also don't want to sacrifice someone's, future or growth. Like it's a people business to me. That's what it comes down to. And the deals are the deals. We can go find more. Yeah, we might have to work harder. We might have to make more phone calls or prospect a little bit more. But it's a people business, and I want to invest in them. And I've found that by doing that, turns out it pays dividends to the bottom line as well.
Right. You're talking about not saving someone, if they're perhaps not doing it the way you or the manager would want them to do it. There's a saying I picked up along the way, save the deal, not the person, right? If you really if it's really sending the deal sideways, maybe you got to jump in. But if it's just messing up the call a little bit, there's probably more to learn from that by letting them struggle and kind of debrief after that. And so when you think about it that way, I think what you're saying is every opportunity, every interaction is a coaching opportunity, which is pretty cool. Not easy though, right? So where do leaders learn this? Did great coaches, in your opinion, benefit from working under other great coaches? Is that where they learned it?
Yeah. I mean, again, I hate to be the prototypical sports guy, but like there's coaching trees, right? Like we see it with Belichick, we see it with Nick Saban, like, and quite frankly, like you see a lot of very highly compensated Division I college football coaches, they get fired or they leave a job and they go take a free role under Nick Saban, right? Like that's a path people take now, because there's always more to learn. There's always, and great coaches do, in my opinion, learn from other great coaches. I think that, it's helpful to see others put coaching into play, put development into play, and then be successful, right? Because to me, early on, it was, we got to get the deals, we got to get the deals, we got to get the deals. And even my first management role was, hey, Sean, we're putting you in this management role because we want your hand on more deals. Like it wasn't, hey, we want you to help grow the people. We want you to help develop the people. It was, we want you to be involved in more deals. And so now you have 4 reps, 5 reps, and go close their deals for them.
Right. Oh, and by the way, today now it's 12 reps, 10 reps. It's something like that, and you put your your superhero cape on and step out of the way. Let me show you how it's done. So that's a really good segue. Like deals, right? Deals. Frontline managers like that we speak to on a consistent basis, and oftentimes the entire leadership chain of command itself, it can be myopically focused on the deal. What would you say to managers who over-index too much toward focusing just on deals?
Yeah, I think it's a short-sighted way to look at it. And I think what you're going to find, if you continue to do that in the long term, that you're constantly scrambling, right? You're constantly, trying to reel in deals and solve for today, but you haven't solved for the long term, right? Like you need to your point, you got 12 reps, go close the deals. What if I just invested the time and energy to coach the 12 reps? One, we're going to find more deals. We're going to build more pipeline, and then they're going to close more. And then I have, maybe I can focus on the top 10%, and maybe those deals become bigger, better, faster, whatever it may be. I just think that you're constantly chasing your tail, and you're constantly going to, be behind the 8 ball and stressed. And you're going to have, certainly I'm not saying you're going to fail. Like you're going to have big quarters, you're going to have big years and make a ton of money. But then the next year might be down. Like you get a lot of these peaks and valleys, I feel like, instead of the consistent flow.
Okay. And speaking with a lot of C-level executives, board members, investment firms these days, it's all about predictability, right? It's all about reducing that volatility, the roller coaster ride that is our business in sales. But, the pressure is real. The struggle is real, as they say. A lot of frontline managers will say, my CRO, all they care about is the deal. And you talk to some senior leaders and they'll say, all the board cares about is the deals. All the CEO cares about is the deals. That may or may not be true, but what's you've been in the C-suite, you've been in these board meetings. Is that all they care about?
No, again, it's an easy way to look at it. I think it's a little bit of a cop-out, but what I wrote down while you said predictability, I think the bigger thing nowadays, especially with the economic climate we've been in, from a fundraising perspective, from a capital injection perspective over the last couple of years, predictability is important, but I think scalability is probably the word I would go to first. And I think for years, especially on the venture capital side of the world, we've confused what scalability means. Like it just became a buzzword. And, it's like, you hear a lot of people say, hey, I scaled the business from 20 reps to 120 reps. That's not scale. Like, in my opinion, that's just spend. Like you spent a lot more money, you brought in a lot of people. What I want to know
is that because productivity goes down, right? So the number of reps is there, but the productivity per that rep is not the same.
Correct.
Is that what you mean? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And the only way to get more revenue or get more money is to add more people, right? And so your gross margins potentially change, like your operating expenses certainly change. And so to me, what scalability needs to be is, tell me how you went from 20 reps to 50 reps and increased revenue by 10 million. That's great. What I'd really like to see is you go from 20 reps to 20 reps and still increase the revenue by 10 million. Like, how do you do more with less? And you're seeing it shift a little bit, especially since, like, again, the fundraising landscape has changed a little bit. I think private equity is becoming more and more of a power player. Not that they weren't before, they own the world, but that model, right? Like, hey, we're going to burn less. We're going to be more productive. We're going to look at Rule of 40. We're going to look at our rep productivity and return on investment, things of that nature. Instead of having 30 reps, 40 reps, get the 10 best reps that you can find, coach the hell out of them, and they can be more productive than, 30 average reps that you don't invest in my opinion. It's that scale,
So look, the climate that we're in these days, there is an economic headwind. Companies are being forced to do more with less, which means a lot of very difficult conversations. I think you're starting to touch on it, but how does an organization do more with less? How does that manager, that leader who unfortunately had to let go of some valuable members of their team, but yet guess what? The number doesn't go down. It's harder. Like, it's literally doing more with less, with fewer reps. How do you do that?
Yeah. it's an unfortunate situation today that like a lot of people have been let go, right? There's been a ton of reduction in force because um, we had tailwinds, we had capital, we had a lot of that stuff behind us, and it was easy to just go scale and hire more people. I think what has to happen now is two things. One, you invest in the people, you invest in the coaching and development. Like I said before, I truly believe that if you take great talent, if you take people that have the things that are coachable, right? Effort, focus, determination, and you have people with those qualities, and then you invest in them from a coaching perspective, a methodology perspective, how to prospect, how to message, and allow them to be more effective and more efficient. One, you're probably going to see more consistent and long-term results. Two, I think you'll see better retention, right? Because whether we like to believe it or not, people who feel that they're in a safe space where they're being invested in, they're being taught, they're being coached, that's what they yearn for. Like that's what they want. And so they'll stick around even when other opportunities maybe come up. So I think that's a secondary benefit. And then, third, I think the more knowledge and skills that you've injected or invested in your people, the deals are probably going to be better, right? Like you're going to find better deals, bigger deals. They're going to close quicker. You're going to have them for, contract values that are much higher. And those type of things really change the trajectory or investability of a business, right? If you can, increase your gross margins, increase your contract value, the average terms of the contract, like these are things that make businesses attractive. And then, you can go get that investment because you're going to look better than the other option. There's so many things that make it worth it.
Yeah, higher quality revenue means a lot to potential investors. Great. Well, listen, let's pivot a little bit. This is great stuff. Let's segue and learn a little bit more about you, Sean Harvey. You talk a lot about the importance of building leadership teams that are committed to coaching and developing people and learning from each other, right? I took that as a direct quote. I pulled that somewhere doing my research. Committed to coaching, developing people, and learning from each other. Can you talk about your career journey, where you started, kind of where you went along the way, and its influence on your value system and what you learned?
Yeah, absolutely. So just started my career at Oracle, and it was, after grad school was it was an eye-opening experience. Walked into a room on day one with 12 other people, and the first 2 weeks were just coaching. And it wasn't product coaching. It wasn't, training on what a database is, because I still don't know what it is. It was all coaching, sales coaching. Here's how we prospect. Here's how to, here's some tips and tricks. Here's, all the different coaching things. And it was one of the better things I've ever done in my life. Certainly one of the best things that have ever happened in my career. And a part of me knew that's what I wanted, right? And it was why I chose that role, because I knew there was an investment in the people. But as I got, left Oracle and got to different companies and saw how that paid off for me, and how far, I don't want to, not sound egotistic, like how far ahead of folks who didn't get that potentially was from a methodology perspective. I realized it was something that I wanted to bring. If I had the chance to lead an organization, it was something I wanted to bring to the table, help people grow their careers and invest in them. I've joined a couple different companies since then. Axient, I was chief revenue officer at Mobile Tech RX, and then VP of sales at Samcar before this most recent role. And there's been some great people that I've come in contact with along the way. And I've been lucky enough to have mentors that have been willing to invest in me. And, what I tell people all the time is, one of my mentors early on, gave all the time and energy to anything I wanted to talk about or learn. And the terrible part about it was we always had the conversation of like, hey, I'm so thankful that you're doing this for me. And I'd love to work with you again, but you're making it, we're making it so we can never work together again. Right. Because
What do you mean?
Yeah. So like, we're going to eventually start going for the same jobs, right? Like he was putting so much effort and energy into helping me up level my career and help me get into positions or be qualified enough or skilled enough to get into positions at, the VP level that there's only so many people that can lead sales in a company, and so unfortunately we've never been able to work together again, but that was part of what we talked about early on. And, again, the level of investment and mentorship I've had along the way from all sorts of people, really has been what has got me to where I am. And I feel the need to pay that back and pay that forward. Not only in the professional world of like, hey, this is how I'm going to coach and train my people and build a team, build a culture around it. But even outside of that, like how can I help, others become better and use some of these skills and hopefully bring this into their organizations and help them and their people.
Well, you certainly have done that. The Latin phrase I think is acta non verba, actions not words, and you certainly have a reputation for doing just that. And you talked before about the coaching tree, and you could probably think of many examples where the person at the top of that coaching tree ultimately finds themselves competing for a job against people that they've mentored along the way, that worked underneath them and studied underneath them, both in sports and in business. And another thing you also touched on there, Sean, is that great coaches have the benefit of working under other great coaches, right? I asked you that question in the past, like recently, and then you just came back and touched on it again. So super, super helpful. So you told us a little bit about your journey line, from Oracle to Axient to Mobile Tech RX, Samcart, over the years, and now heading sales up at RocketRez. What drew you to RocketRez? Where do you think you can add value? What drew you there?
So there's a couple things right off the top, right? The leadership team there is great, right? They'd just taken a round of funding from Level Equity. That was certainly part of my decision, right? I wanted to be with those folks. There was some talent at Level Equity that I got to talk to early on that I really felt like we were aligned on our approach, and I love what they're doing and the way that they operate their firm. But the leadership team at RocketRez was great from Jump Street, right? I knew right off the bat that the founder John and CFO Cam, like we were aligned, like philosophically aligned as to what we needed to do, what the team needed, our thoughts on how to grow, build a great culture, build great people, invest, have a safe, trusting space for people to flourish. And these situations aren't the easiest situations, right? New money injected in, like a whole new set of goals for a business that maybe was a smaller business or a lifestyle business, and then all of a sudden they're taking the next step. And there's a lot of people that, like, when you're that small, you're scrambling for every deal, right? It is deal, and you will do a lot of unnatural things to get those deals. And what you typically don't have a lot of time to do and capital to do is invest in the people. And with that now being, with the capital piece now being taken care of, there was a philosophical alignment of, hey, this is what we want to do. We do want to invest in the people. We do want to build great teams.
So that's something you have conversations with before you join, right? It's, hey, are we philosophically aligned? I think coaching and developing people is important. Do you? Like, you basically, felt them out for that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, listen, I don't, I love adapting. I love changing. I love learning new things and developing myself. But this is one of those areas that I feel passionate about enough to where, if it doesn't fit with the culture and the style of the organization, I don't want to fight against them, right? And it's not that it's wrong. Like, everyone, they have their own,
right.
Might have their own opinion on how they like to do things. That's okay. It's not wrong. But it might just not be a great alignment for me. And so, I feel it out early on because I want to make sure that the things that I can bring to the table in my approach to building a sales team, scaling a sales team, growing a business and a revenue department is in alignment with what they want. That I feel like that's how it works best.
Yeah. And so RocketRez, not just a cool name, but you've talked a lot about the great people that are there, and the culture that you're going to continue to build upon. But what does RocketRez do? Who are your ideal clients?
Yeah. First of all, I'll touch on the name. It's awesome. There's nothing better. Every software company in the world calls themselves a rocket ship. Not every company can have a rocket ship as their logo. So we're good there. It's an interesting vertical that we play in. We're an all-in-one ticketing platform for tours and attractions, really. So think about zoos, aquariums, immersive experiences, museums, right? These boat tours, ferries, things of that nature. Mm-hmm. That's really the industry we play well in.
So I'm in Park City, Utah. I go to, let's say, a museum down in Old Town. Like, what could that museum be doing that could leverage RocketRez? Help us understand that.
Yeah. So first of all, you buy a ticket to this museum, either online or in person, maybe a kiosk, maybe a ticket booth. That could be RocketRez, right? That ticketing platform, mm-hmm. That experience, not only just buying the ticket, but maybe you buy, maybe there's an upsell on it, right? When you go in and buy the ticket and then you buy the show. Hey, I want to watch the show on X, Y, or Z at, mm-hmm. 2:30. So all of that can be handled by RocketRez. And then you're there, and maybe there's food and beverage. Right? Maybe there's a cafe. We certainly handle that. Gift shop, right? Like the retail side of it. Maybe you're buying a T-shirt or something for your kids. That side of it can be handled by RocketRez, the retail transactions, as well as the inventory management. That's all, okay. All in one. It's powerful. It does a lot, and for these museums, these tours, these attractions, can really handle almost everything they need from a business perspective.
Excellent, cool, and no shortage of potential clients across the fruited plain. Pivoting a little bit back, we've been talking about coaching for a good time here. Can you hinted at it, but can you tell us about a time where you benefited from really good coaching in your mind? Yeah.
I'll give you a little bit of a kind of an on the job one that comes to mind. We were constantly coaching and training in certain points and times in my career. And one stands out, right? Like we're a Sandler shop at Axient. It was constantly being reinforced, right? I remember vividly, we'd walk into our Monday morning sales meeting and the VP at the time would first slide in the slide deck was a Sandler rules, right? And we'd talk about it. We role play it, do the whole 9 yards. But there were still certain points where I wasn't fully bought into using it, right? And then the negative reverse is one of them, right? And there was a time when I don't know that I was fully bought into the idea of I'm financially independent and I don't need the business. I want it, but I don't need it. And so I remember I was sitting in my boss's office and on the phone with a customer, big deal, like the difference between me hitting my number, the difference between the company hitting our number that quarter. And we're just going back and forth. So we're just banging our head against the wall on this one. And he puts the phone on mute and he's like, I'm taking the deal off the table. Like, we're strip lining this thing, negative reversing it, whatever you want to call it. Like, we're taking it off the table. And I'm like, no, like I just had my first kid. I can't afford to take this off. We have to have this deal. He's like, we're doing it. Puts it back on, takes it off mute, takes the deal off the table, throws it back on mute. The guy starts selling himself.
So when you say taking the deal off the table, I know what you mean, but what do you mean?
Yeah, like I don't know exactly what we said at the time, but we're just like, hey, Steve, sounds like we're too far apart. Like maybe it doesn't make sense to do this now or ever. Like I think we should just part ways as friends. And if we need to revisit in the future, we'll revisit in the future. And then just throws it on mute. And the guy just, no, we can get it done. We'll get it done right now. This is the one piece that I need, right? Like, it
Starts
completely
convincing you guys. He starts
like textbook, right? Textbook. And that was a moment where I'm like, okay, like I just saw it. I saw it work. Like, I'm a believer, right? Like, let's go do this. And again, it was a trial by fire, right? Like, we were coaching in the moment, coaching on the deal. And it wasn't like, I don't even think the pure intent was to coach me on anything. That the intent was to get the deal and follow the methodology. But because it was constantly coached on every week, every quarter, like we were believers in this and we did it. But then to see it work in a big way, was a moment where I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be skeptical, about this anymore. It might not work every time, but I'm going to use it and I'm going to commit to it and I'm going to do it. And yeah, I mean, it was a moment I won't forget.
Seeing is believing.
That's right. Yeah.
And so that example there and the example that you gave about your mentor who you felt coached you so well to the point where you joked about competing with that person for jobs. And I've heard you say something in the past about the culture of, we want to invest in you and train you so that you could go anywhere. Finish that sentence. I can't remember exactly what it is, but can you finish that? I thought it was powerful.
Yeah. I think it was like, I want to say it was Richard Branson who potentially at first saw this, but it was some version.
Sure, he got it from you, but anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sir Richard Branson.
He credits me when he does podcasts for sure. Sir Richard Branson. Sorry about that. It was something to the tune of like, hey, we want to train people so well and so deeply that they can leave anytime they want, right? They're attractive to other companies. Like, they can go get all the things that they want in the world. But they don't want to, right? Like, I think his was like, treat them so well that they never want to leave. Right. And to me, it's train them so well that they can leave and walk out the door. But they never want to because they can't get what you're able to provide them, in other areas. And really that's what I've tried to, even when I start teams, right? Even when I join companies, like, hey, we're going to grow professionally. I'm going to help you do that. And if that's in sales, awesome. If it's not, no problem. Like, I just want to help you be better in whatever the areas are that you want to get better at. And I want you to look back on this. Like, these are transactional experiences, right? Like, people aren't staying at companies for 30, 40 years anymore. Where we bounce a little bit more. Like, it's more transactional, in my opinion. And I want people to always look back on time spent at any company that I've been at and feel like, and that was of great value to me. Like, had a blast, learned a ton, and I don't need them to like me. I want them to respect the fact that I'm willing to invest in them and my team's willing to invest in them. But I want them to feel like there was value, both immediate value in terms of making money, having a great experience, being a part of a great team, but also long-term value in that they gained something from the experience that has helped them, from a compounding interest perspective, to make more money, be better, reach the goals that they want to reach personally or professionally.
Wow, great stuff. Before we start to wrap up here, Sean, any final thoughts for the managers out there at all levels that are just grinding every day and trying to figure it all out, especially this coaching thing?
Yeah, it's not an easy environment right now. There's certainly been easier times in software sales in particular. So my advice is don't sacrifice the future for the now, right? Like, understand what the long game is. Be willing to invest in people, in process, in coaching, in development, right? Like, we so often think, as we talked about before, about the deal, like, got to get this deal, we got to hit this number. There's so many other factors that investors care about, boards care about. We get so wrapped up from a sales perspective that we got to get this deal and we got to hit this number. There's other great things that you can be doing, either right now to make the company more attractive, to make the financials better, whatever it may be, or in the future. And I think that the biggest piece of advice is just don't get so focused on the now that you sacrifice the future to be successful today. Invest in your people, coach them, develop them. Like it will make your life, one, more fulfilling to see people grow and develop and do great things. And then two, it'll provide a more consistent experience for you as a sales manager, as a leader, less peaks and valley, right? Less, crazy ends of the quarter where you're just so stressed that you can't even sit down. You're just pacing back and forth across your office. Like it provides a more consistent and better experience for everyone.
Excellent. Well, Sean, listen, learned so much today. We talked about things like vulnerability-based coaching. We talked about things like, pivoting. Is it predictability, or scalability? And then, the kind of the last thing we've been talking about is the notion of investing in people and developing so much that they could go anywhere, but that they don't want to. Powerful stuff. I would imagine, based on what we talked about, there's companies, there's people working at companies that say, hey, that RocketRez thing sounds really cool. I want to learn more about RocketRez. Or, hey, I want to work for this person, Sean Harvey. How do people get in touch with you?
Yeah. So first of all, obviously on LinkedIn, you can find me on there. Our website, pretty straightforward, RocketRez, RocketRez, all one word, .com. And then if you want to contact me directly, it's just sean.harvey@rocketrez.com. All
right. Sean, we're going to leave it right there. Thank you. Really enjoyed the conversation today.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Matt.
All right. And thank you all out there for listening. If you learned something today or you laughed a little bit, tell someone about the podcast, Coach to Scale. Again, Sean, really, sincerely, thank you. It's been my pleasure to host this conversation on behalf of Coach to Scale. See you next time. And until then, coach them if you want to keep them. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Coach to Scale, How Modern Leaders Build Coaching Cultures. For show notes and other episodes, visit us at coachem.io. That's COACHEM.io. And follow us on Twitter at CoachemNow. See you all next week. Thanks for joining. And remember, coach them if you want to keep them.